What's up guys, welcome back to Fancy Goldfish Fanatics. Today we're going to be starting to set up the planter for our natural plant filter to go on the monster fish tank, so make sure you stay tuned to find out more. Hey Fanatics family, welcome back. As always, check out the links in the description and make sure you follow us on Instagram. Today, we're going to be setting up the planter for the monster fish tank, and it's also going to be applicable for all of you goldfish keepers out there, because I might even do this on the pond outside and any future tanks if it is a success. So to start off with, what you'll need is a tank or a pond or even your goldfish tank. It needs to have a lid where you can rest the planter on top and it's going to be sturdy enough to hold it. Or potentially if you've got a rim tank like this with a Euro brace, you can sit it on that. It will need to have some holes where the plant roots are going to be able to go into the water as well. So that is another thing to think about. Now, firstly, I've got the planter here. This is just like a rattan style effect. I got it in white so it would match the walls, but you can get loads of these on the internet. If you want to know where I got this from, just comment down below and I'll find the link for you. I believe this one cost about £9. So it just came in the post today, so I thought I would get the video done. So that's the planter out the way. It's about 80 centimeters long, 15 centimeters wide and 17 centimeters tall, I believe. So I'll move that out of the way now. So what we're going to do, we're going to sit it on top of the aquarium. There's going to be some holes in the bottom of the planter where the plant roots will be able to go into the water. Now originally I did have this tank planted with a scape, but it made the tank get really dirty and it was quite difficult to clean. And long term, eventually I'm not going to be able to have a scape in this tank because these fish will get too big. But I still wanted some natural filtration, and also it will look quite nice in the house and it will add some nice green tones to this wall. Although I'm also going to have some artwork behind me. Hopefully we'll finally get the studio set up at some point and we'll get some, maybe, I don't know, a poster or some fancy goldfish artwork behind me. I'm not sure yet, but I thought in that top corner it would be really nice to have some natural plants, adding some oxygen to the air and improving the quality of the fish's lives as well, removing those nitrates and phosphates. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if it all goes well. So the first thing I need to do is get the planter right here. I'm going to drill some big holes in the bottom corners because there are some gaps either end of this tank where I'm going to have the plant roots coming in. So I want some biggish holes so those roots can get down in each corner. So that's the first job to do. And then after that, we're going to be filling this all up with alpha grog. You could use like a plant soil, maybe with some gravel at the bottom so it doesn't get, so that plant soil doesn't go into your tank. But I'm going to be trying with some alpha grog, which is kind of like a lava rock, and just seeing how it goes. It's going to be a little bit of an experiment, something I haven't done before. Right now, I'm going to get the holes drilled in the planter. So they're going to be going in these corners, as I said, and that's going to be done now. And here we go. As you can see, I've just put the holes in the bottom and the top, and this is just going to go lengthways across the tank, and then the plants are going to be able to put their roots through here into the water column. Now, this is my first planter I've made, or my first sort of bog style filter. So it's a little bit of a trial and run, and if I make any mistakes, at least you guys can learn from that, or something you might want to do differently. But I've just put the holes there, some nice big holes. I used just a general hole saw to drill through that. It was really easy to drill through the plastic. So the next job is we're going to fill it up, I'd say about halfway, maybe 60% full of alpha grog, and then we can place it onto the tank. And then the next step is going to be choosing what plants to add, and I'll probably get onto that part in another video. So right now I'm just going to fill this up with some alpha grog, and then we can put it on the tank and see what it looks like.
A few moments later.
And there we have it, we've got the planter. Hopefully you can see it up on top of the tank. So we've got it up here now, it's full of alpha grog. Now I didn't go into much detail of why I used the alpha grog, and there is a bit of reason behind that. Firstly, I wanted it to be a bit heavy, so if the arowana decides to jump, or any fish decides to jump, it's not going to knock it over or push it out of the way. Also, I had the alpha grog lying about, so it was free for me to use. It's really porous, so the roots can grow into it, grow around it, and grow on it. Also, I'm not actually planning to use the alpha grog as a substrate. I'm actually going to be putting a big Tupperware in the middle with some soil, aquatic soil, or some compost. So when I plant the pothos, I can plant it into that soil with the roots coming out so they can start to grow over the alpha grog. And then I'm also going to have the roots coming down into the water column just here so they can start sucking up the nitrates. Now this is going to be a long-term project, and if you do your own aquatic planter, you can potentially pump up water into it. That is another way to do it, but I want to try and do this where I add no extra electricity, no extra pumps, etc. because I want no equipment to be in the tank, or as little as possible, because I like the tanks to look a bit more natural and just have minimal equipment in there as possible. Now I'll just overlay some footage now of the planter. As you can see, the planter doesn't quite reach to the ends of the tank. Unfortunately, I ordered the 80 centimeter planter, and it turns out that it was only 78 centimeters, and I could have done with those extra centimeters just to block up those side holes a bit, and also give the roots a little bit more options to grow down into the water. But it is what it is. It doesn't look too bad, and I'm quite happy with it. It was only about £9, I think, so can't really complain. So the next job is I've got to get the pothos, and I've got to put a big Tupperware of some soil or some fertilizer in the middle, and then I'm going to split the pothos up. So try some in the middle, some in the water, and then hopefully over quite a long period it will all merge together and create a really big plant over the whole of the planter, and then hopefully it will start to tumble out and branch out over the sides of the planter and hide it a little bit. Now that is probably going to take quite a long time. I assume it's going to take a year, maybe longer, for it to look really full. But the next job is to find that pothos. I'm not sure where I'm going to get it from. I'm going to look around a few shops, and I will update that in a future video once I've got it planted. And now, as I said, this is a bit of trial and error. I haven't done this before. I've looked at a few different options, and maybe if you guys want to replicate this, you can slightly edit it potentially, or change it to fit your tank or your desire. Now it can be put on any tank. It'll be really good for a fancy goldfish tank, really help remove those nitrates once the plant has embedded down. You could also add other plants to this. I thought about adding a peace lily as well, but I think we're just going to start with the pothos, something a bit easy, and just see how it goes. I hope you found that video interesting, maybe something you guys can try at home. As I said, you may want to edit this design, maybe add a pump that's pumping water through. You could even add some sponge, some mechanical filtration, then some biological filtration, and then some plants on top of that as well. The possibilities are endless. As I said, this is a trial and error situation. We're going to see how it goes. Maybe I'll have to do some little tweaks here and there, or maybe it won't even work. But I have really good hope for this, and I think it's going to look really good at the end, as the end result, in probably about a year's time. We've just got to let it establish first. So I'm going to go and find some pothos at some point, and hopefully update you in a few videos time. As I said, I'm going to bring more fancy goldfish videos to the channel now. Recently I did a bit on equipment, and obviously I did about green water. We're still a little bit of a journey away from setting up the pond. I also want to make some modifications to it to make it look really nice in the garden setting. So I've got to do that, but unfortunately, obviously we're in winter and the weather isn't that great, so I've got to wait for the spring to do that as well. Hopefully we can bring you some more tank tours, and even maybe some Rate My Tank episodes. So if you want to enter the Rate My Tank episode or the tank tours, drop me an email down below. The email address is in the description, and we can sort something out. So thank you all for watching. Remember to keep those water changes up and happy fish keeping.